Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I am Matt. Cornah.
God, it's Matt. Oh, come here, Matt. Let me hug you.
Come right in.
Oh, it's warm.
Pat.
Oh, that's
salivate.
I'm gonna lick your face.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
thank you very much.
Matt, it's been too long.
What a disgusting way to open the show.
I know. You're gonna have to.
Disgusting thing to do. Hello, Hyle.
You're gonna have to tell yourself off.
Yeah,
Matt, you haven't been on the. You haven't been on the show for almost 3 years.
Long old time. Yes. Well, thank you for having me back. I'm delighted to be here to talk about one of the most essential parts of the Donkey Kong universe that there are.
Yeah, when people ask me,
agree?
Yeah, people come up to me all the time. They come up to me.
They come up to you
in the haberdashery, and they say,
"Yeah,
Hyle Russell from off of DK Vine. How is it?
Say to you.
How is it that you do an almost weekly podcast about the Donkey Kong universe? How have you done that for almost a decade now and not run out of topics? Because last I checked, there hasn't been a new Donkey Kong game in 8 years. How do you do it?
It's 6 or 7 years. Yeah.
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Well,
Tropical
who's
freeze.
keeping count?
Yeah.
You, apparently.
I have to. People remind me all the time in my DMs. They say, Hyle from off of DK Vine, how is it that we've gone this long without a new Donkey Kong game? And I say, well, there are reasons for that, but last time I explained it, everybody got mad at me because the new Donkey Kong game didn't immediately get announced. So,
and let us not forget that it is your fault.
Right? I am the one who is actually bribing Nintendo to not release a Donkey Kong game because I really want to talk about Sea of Thieves instead.
It's better for us that there's no Donkey Kong games ever again.
Well, this is something we've talked about before, Matt.
Yeah.
And it's actually like back in the day, Matt, like the heady days of the early aughts when you were but a newborn placenta-covered babe on the DK Vine staff. And
I remember it well.
I am nostalgic for those days.
Yes.
I'm nostalgic for my childhood, but I am also nostalgic for my early to mid 20s. I remember like E3 would roll around, and of course, this was before I would go out to E3 every year. This was when there was an E3, but E3 would roll around, and of course, we would always celebrate it like a festival atmosphere, and it would be, you know, it would be me and Chad, and then you and Joe Mudd and Jeff and Cameron, and it was good times. But you made this point that's really stuck in my head. You said, and I'm paraphrasing here, this isn't exactly what you said, but you said it's sometimes more fun when we don't have anything to talk about and we have to make our own amusement. We have to kind of entertain ourselves with our own nonsense. And sometimes...
Yes, I think so. I think I really stick by that. I think there's been you're right, 2012, wasn't it? Where it was like Donkey Kong Clash or something, where it was like a Wii U game where you tilted the console to move a barrel.
Nintendo Land.
And that was the only... Nintendo Land. Yeah, there we go. And that was an E3 to remember because it was just us dicking about.
Yeah.
Making our own amusements. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I don't know why I interrupted you to say that, but I did, and that's the end of the interruption.
Historical context, Matt. It's appreciated. Yeah, and that really stuck with me all of these years later because I often groan whenever there's a news story that breaks because I will usually have plans for that week's Kongversation, or I have things I want to get done for DK Vine that don't.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying when something happens. And
it is. On it. I'm so glad nothing happened this week, so we could talk about level names. Yeah. In the Donkey Kong series, because people do ask me, maybe not at the haberdashery, maybe I fibbed.
Sometimes you go to the cleaners, don't you? Sometimes the local candy shop. That's American for sweet shop.
Thank you for Americanizing it for me. I would have no context for what you meant by sweet shop.
Yeah, no idea.
We do have quite a few candy shops in the area. I don't know what that's about. I never really analyzed that. But sometimes I'm out and about and people come up to me and they say, Hyle from off of DK Vine, how do you do it? How do you churn out this content? I would have run out of things to talk about by now. And I say, there's never things to run out to talk about. I say it in a much more articulate way when I tell them this, but it's true. There is a bounty of discussion points. If there was never, not just another Donkey Kong game, but a platonic closed up shop tomorrow, if Rare burned down in a fire, if it all just went away tomorrow, if they shot Donkey Kong, if they had to put him down because
they shot Donkey Kong.
If he bit a child, if he bit a child, they would shoot Donkey Kong.
Yes, okay, carry on.
If it all went away tomorrow, I guarantee you I would still have about 30 years of conversation topics to hit. It's just, I know where to look.
Yes. So, listeners, if you're thinking, I don't know where you're listening to this, where you are. Maybe you're in the car, maybe you're at home, maybe you're on the toilet, and you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I wonder when they'll run out of categories of conversation topics. Well, this one is not a sign that this podcast is past its best, is what we're saying.
Oh, it's true.
Absolutely not.
We just got to extraterrestrials of the Donkey Kong universe last week.
Yeah, last week we were talking about things from space. So who knows what will be next week?
Right.
Brackets this week.
So that's how we do, because we know at DK Vine, we are the specialist. Everybody has to specialize in something. And we chose our discipline to be Donkey Kong. And I don't regret that. My parents might, but I don't regret that. No, my parents had dreams for me.
Yes, I'm sure they did.
No, this is like, you know what? Nobody else does this. You know, these big time YouTubers who, they make millions of dollars a year off of their YouTubes. When they like decide to do a Donkey Kong video, everybody tags me because they're like, look, they're doing a Donkey Kong video. I'm like, stay out of my lane. Just, you know what? Just, you don't know what you're talking about, friendo. You haven't dedicated your life to studying this. It reminds me of all those people who are like, why do we need to listen to the medical experts when I read this on Facebook? Yeah.
It's a good point, actually. Why do we need to listen to the medical experts when we could listen to the Kongversation?
Right. Well, we're not giving medical advice here. We're purely talking about what.
Well, you might not be, but I am. Oh. Have you ever thought about drinking petrol? Just a thought to put in your mind.
I actually have. I've thought about it quite a bit. Yeah. I've made quite a few jokes. Remember Green Porn City, the comic strip? I
do remember that. Yes, that's what DKVine.com forwarded to in the early days of 2001. If I remember correctly. Yes.
Yeah, mid 2001. Mid 2002, actually. Mid 2002. Yeah.
I apologize. I offer a humble apology for getting the year wrong.
But probably the Green Porn City comic strip I'm the proudest of to this day, besides the diarrhea one, is there was a character in GPC, as all the fans call it.
Yes.
And he was putting petrol, as you call it. We call it gasoline over here.
Yeah, I know we do.
He was putting it into his car, and he stared at the pump, and there was a beat, and he decided to put it in his mouth, and he pumped it into his mouth, and then the very last panel was an ambulance racing to the petrol station. So I have
it's
thought
a modern day parable.
Andre is giving me some positive affirmation in the live stream. Hello to the live stream chat, by the way. We do stream most conversations live for patrons at the $5 and up tier. Why that arbitrary number? I don't know. It's what Chad decided back in the day. Andre says, you've utterly cornered the market on Donkey Kong journalism that isn't Donkey Kong journalism because it's also rare and platonic and Goldilocks and Little Bear journalism. You're set, man. Yeah. Thank you. And that's also another factor to how the conversation and DK Vine persist, because every time there is a drought when it comes to Donkey Kong, we can always fall back on rare and platonic, and it is this perpetual motion machine that shows
there's never not something to talk about. And I've said this often before, which maybe it bears repeating, which is that no one can take the Donkey Kong universe away from you. We're looking at a year in which there will be a Mario film with possible Donkey Kong universe adjacent connections, and possibly a Donkey Kong film off the back of it, and that will bring many people in, and all the rest of that, whatever that means. But no one can take Donkey Kong 2 away from you. Donkey Kong Country 2 away from you.
No.
There's nothing that can... We have already a beautiful series of games. So nothing can stop that from being true.
That's absolutely right. And that's why...
What a beautiful thing for me to say.
Yeah. Diddy Kong Racing. We may never get another Diddy Kong Racing.
We will never get another Diddy Kong Racing. I've just learnt. I've looked at every other possible timeline, and there is no other Diddy Kong Racing. This is the only timeline in which Diddy Kong Racing exists.
I'm just picturing you like Doctor Strange with the time stone, and your head is flicking back and forth. You're looking at all possible futures, and you've determined, oh no, it's not happening.
Not happening. Yeah. This is the only timeline in which Diddy Kong Racing exists. So appreciate it.
Yeah, we lucked out. Could be worse. Yeah. But yeah, nobody can take that from us. Nobody can take the fact that Banjo and Conker were introduced as Diddy Kong's friends away from us. And I think that's beautiful. And that, even if future generations, the generation negative Z or whatever they're going to be called.
Whatever letter is left.
Yes.
We'll have to go for Greek letters, I think.
Oh, I hope we go for
Generation
symbols.
Sigma.
I hope we go for keyboard symbols. Generation question mark. Generation pound sign.
And.
Yeah.
Ampersand. Yeah.
Generation little star. Even if they have no...
Can you imagine being generation quotation mark? Sorry, carry on.
No, I'm just saying there is this befuddlement by the younger children, in their diapers and their onesies, who they never lived.
Kiddy Kong romper suits.
They're all just Kiddy Kong in my mind.
Yeah.
They never lived.
Yes.
They never lived through Diddy Kong Racing, Matt, and they never lived through the historical presentation and context. So for them, Diddy Kong Racing is some sort of Smash Brothers type game where Banjo and Conker just crossed over with Diddy Kong, and they don't understand that. No, in the lore of Diddy Kong Racing, Banjo and Conker were introduced as Diddy's friends. And before they even had their own game, they were Diddy Kong's friends who lived in the same archipelago. Squawks came to get them, and they jotted on over to Timbers Island. And, that might be forgotten about, and that might be brushed aside by the onesie-wearing masses. But nobody can take that away from us because we lived through it, Matt. We lived through
it. We're veterans of those times, those halcyon days. Please continue.
Yeah, we're veterans.
Shack Attack. What is this?
Matt just looked at the live stream chat name. The live stream
Chat
name.
Attack.
Matt Chat. That would be a good Donkey Kong level name. So
it would be.
For those
I've got a bone to pick with you, Hyle, which is that the name of this episode.
What's your bone to pick about me?
Well, I sort of provisionally suggested level name Limbo.
Yes.
And then I came up with nomenclature adventure. And I was more pleased with that than I was with level name Limbo. And I want to know why it is that you've not gone with that.
Because
nomenclature adventure. It's hard to say.
It is hard to say.
Nomenclature adventure.
It is hard to say, Matt. Here's what's happened to me in the last 3 years since you've been on the conversation. I've learned that sometimes our DK Vine's super complicated jokes don't play well to the masses. And
this isn't for if the masses are listening to this. This isn't for you. Go away. Right,
I like
now that we've got rid of them.
Yeah. You want me to change it back?
Yeah.
No.
No. Level name Limbo is fine. Please continue.
I like the level name Limbo because it felt like a Donkey Kong name. Also, I named for those of you who aren't $5 and up patrons, I give funny little names to the private Twitch stream for the conversation as we live stream these. Just something that's kind of on topic, but is still sort of just not explaining what the episode is. So for this one, I named it Matt Chat Attack, which sounded like a Retro Studios era Donkey Kong level name to me. Because it partially rhymes and it partially doesn't, and
it allunates.
Yeah,
which we'll get onto.
Yeah, we will. So let's get into it because this is just one of many topics in the next 30 years of the conversation, and we need to get through this so we can get to the next episode. But before we get into everything, we've talked about E3 at the top of this show. We got nostalgic about E3's long past, and Matt, as you know, as most of the listeners know, there is not going to be an E3 this year. This is the second time in 3 years that E3 has been canceled. There's not even a digital-only E3 this year. There is just no E3. However, June 12th, we know the Xbox Bethesda presentation is going live as it would normally do if there were an E3. So at the very least, we have that. Nintendo has not announced any Nintendo Direct for that week yet. And that's really frustrating when you're somebody like Hyle or Matt from off of DK Mine, where we like to have that big festival-like atmosphere, and we need to plan weeks in advance for it, for everything we're going to do. But
we don't seriously think Nintendo aren't going to do some kind of thing that week, though, do we?
They're going to do some kind of thing, probably.
They're quite unpredictable, I suppose.
They are. They're going to do something probably this summer, most likely in June, that would be the equivalent of their big E3 Direct. However,
Nintendo pulled out of E3 before the COVID pandemic, and it always seemed to me like they were begrudging participants in the whole festival.
Well, they pulled out of this, like they stopped doing the stage presentation, but they were still very much a part of E3.
Yeah, they were present, but
yeah,
they didn't. Yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? So, yeah, I suppose you're right. Who knows? Maybe they will, maybe they won't.
It's really frustrating because here I am trying to figure out how DK Vine is going to fill that hole for E3, and all we have to go off of is Xbox. So we'll probably get a Sea of Thieves trailer at the very least, but we don't, like, Nintendo might announce it a few days beforehand or a day beforehand, because that's what they like to do with Nintendo Directs.
When would E3 normally be?
The week of June 12th.
June 12th. Okay. So if there's anyone from the gaming press listening to this podcast, Nintendo, you can quote me on this, will definitely announce a new Donkey Kong game on June the 12th.
No, they won't.
Definitely.
It would be June 14th, because they always
14th,
did theirs
I meant 14th.
Yeah, they would always do theirs on Tuesday, but we don't know if Nintendo's doing anything that week, but I can't wait.
Citation, Matt Cornah at DK Vine. Fuck you, Matt, says Zakuro no Gibbon.
That's, Gibbon. Gibbon is just saying, fuck you. What have you done?
Gibbon, you don't need to listen to this bit. All of this is going to be edited out of the final podcast.
No, it's not. I'm too lazy.
All of it.
So here's the deal. Here is the deal, listeners of the Kongversation. I have booked the week of June, the beginning of the weekend of June 10th. What is it? Starting Friday, June 10th, going through the week, I have decided that will be our fake E3. And what are we doing for fake E3? Well, I haven't quite decided, because it all depends on what Nintendo does. But at the very least, we will have multiple episodes of the Kongversation that week. We're going to live stream these on the DK Vine Twitch channel proper, and we'll definitely talk about what Xbox does, Xbox Bethesda on Sunday. But if Nintendo doesn't do anything, maybe we'll do an episode about our ideal fantasy E3. Like, let's imagine an E3 where everything breaks DK Vine's way, the DKU's way. And let's...
E3 2001 again.
Right? Except this time we would actually get the games that are revealed.
Yes.
So...
Is E3 2001 the E3 in which the most games were announced that weren't released?
Well, everything was released except Donkey Kong Racing in some form or another.
Diddy Kong Pilot
became Banter Pilot.
Diddy Kong Pilot was. It's Mr. Pants.
Coconut Crackers became Mr. Pants, But,
Well, anyway, the joke still stands.
So,
I'm sticking by it.
Bookmark your calendars now.
Yes. Put it in the diary. DK Vine at E3 2022.
Yes. That beginning Friday, June 10th, but definitely Sunday, June 12th. And then to be announced any other dates for that week. We'll be doing fun things all week long. Like I said, haven't really decided if we're just going to be streaming all week or if we're going to be doing other things. The Kongversation will definitely play a part in it. But I'm just waiting to hear from Nintendo. And Nintendo, they're not answering my emails. So...
I think they've blocked you.
Oh, I'm sure. There are people at Nintendo, as I've said... There are people at Nintendo who've reached out to me in the past. I've got sources sometimes. I've got people who are well acquainted and even fans of what we do. And then there's the rest of Nintendo who probably
resents the fact that people like their stuff.
Who resent the way we go about celebrating their materials, probably, yes. But
it's an odd thing, that, isn't it? It's an odd thing that Nintendo hates the idea that people like them. It's something I've noticed about them.
Right. Maybe it's because they get too much love and they feel like they need to experience other emotions.
Maybe.
They're not well-rounded enough.
Put a distance between themselves and the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is an odd one, isn't it? What do you want to talk about today, Hyle?
Well, Matt, I thought as you suggested to me way back a month or two ago, why don't we talk about the level names in Donkey Kong games today?
Yeah, let's talk about the level names, because let's have a think about it together, because I've not really done the research, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say, uniquely, the Donkey Kong universe level naming conventions are fun and funny sometimes, and interesting and strange sometimes.
Yes,
sometimes. But deliberately so, and there is thought put into them rather than, let's say, jungle or forest.
Yes, so we're not talking about the Donkey Kong Country Returns world names here, by the way.
Yes,
we're talking
That's
about
the first thing that came into my head. But yeah.
We're talking about
the problem is I've not done any research outside of the Donkey Kong universe, so I don't know if you have or not, Hyle. What have you discovered? Nothing?
Well, looking at Nintendo's other big platformer series that occasionally overshadows, eclipses Donkey Kong just a tiny bit. I believe it's called Super Mario. Super Mario Brothers sometimes.
Sorry, so it's Super what? Sorry?
Yeah, no. I don't have this verified because I've just heard about it through third-hand sources.
What?
Yeah.
I'll just have to trust you on that. Super Mario. What?
Yeah. My father always called it Super Mario. He refused to call it Mario. He would have to call it Mario. Mario. And looking at that series, because it did set the standard industry-wide, but especially for Nintendo. Yes. Until Super Mario World, level names in Mario games were merely designated by a numbering convention. So the first level... 2. Yes. Yeah, the first level...
The first level would be 1-1.
1-1, right. 1-2, 1-3, 2-1, so on and so forth. And that was the case throughout the Nintendo Entertainment System trilogy. Well, all 4 of them, when you factor in, the Lost Levels and Super Mario Brothers 2, depending on your region. But Super Mario Brothers USA, as it would be known in Japan. But Super Mario World came out, and it started to play with that formula a bit. It got a bit more descriptive, and at times, alliterative. You would have still sort of blanket level names, but it would be used with a world or area name, sometimes in a fun but still blunt phraseology. So
for example, Yoshi's Island, Donut Plains, Butter Bridge.
Butter Bridge is
Forest
the one.
Of Illusion.
Yeah, Butter Bridge is the one I always go on, because it would be Butter Bridge 1 and Butter Bridge 2. And it's still very perfunctory. It's still very... This is the first one, and this is the second one, and maybe there's a third one and a fourth one, but you at least have a little bit of thought and fun.
You have a name of the location.
Yes.
And it's alliterative, like you say. Butter Bridge.
Yeah, so that's
now, I wonder if that's accidental or deliberate.
Well, I don't know. Not being a Mario fanatic, I have not looked into the localization of Super Mario World versus, what the original Japanese text
Yeah, I do
states.
wonder about that. Yeah. We should have done our research before we started doing this podcast. But
well, we're not talking about Mario really, though. We're just setting the scene here. We're setting the mood. This is merely but the music and soft tissue massage that leads to the vigorous intercourse that is to transpire. And the vigorous intercourse in this analogy are Donkey Kong level names. So.
Yes.
Yoshi's Island, which I know is Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, but people don't like to use that term anymore because people are just like to argue online. Yoshi's Island was a contemporary of the Donkey Kong Country trilogy, came smack dab in the middle of the trilogy's
Donkey
release.
Kong Country 2 was released in the same year.
I think just 2 months later, roughly.
Yeah, I don't know the chronology. I know that the CGI stuff in the intro scene was sort of... the impetus to do that was because of the Donkey Kong Country trilogy.
And there's the famous strife involved around Yoshi's Island art direction versus Donkey Kong Country. We're not going to open up that can of worms, even though those.
The thing you've got to remember, Hyle, is that you can do anything as long as you've got good graphics. The gameplay can be shit as long as you've got good graphics. That's what you've got to remember.
I will remember that. Thank you. That was actually my fortune cookie last night when I got Chinese food. Yeah,
I sent you that fortune cookie. I'm amazed you received it in time for this show.
That's amazing that you're the one who sent that, considering it was bundled in my Chinese food. Did you send the Chinese food too?
No, that came from someone else.
Anyway, Yoshi's Island was, I think, the first sort of mainline Mario platformer that got a little silly with it. And keep in mind, this came out almost a year after Donkey Kong Country set the tone for having unique level names. There may be no correlation there, but I like to think.
Yeah, maybe... I can't seriously imagine that the one was inspired by the other. Maybe though. Yeah, maybe you're right.
But it's weird because before we had never had Mario games with level names like Shy Guys on Stilts or Poochie Ain't Stupid. Poochie Ain't Stupid. I liked that, the Yoshi's Island level names were far more descriptive in what the stage was going to be about. Yeah. It basically just told you what the level was going to be about, and it kind of helped you figure out what to do if the context changed. But this was dropped. This whole innovation to the Mario series was dropped by the time of the new Super Mario Brothers series, at least initially, because New Super Mario Brothers came out in 2006, I want to say, and it reverted to the simple and ugly 1-1 level naming convention. Donkey Kong Country Returns, which then came out less than a year after New Super Mario Bros. Wii, was actually, in many ways, directly inspired by the success of New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and incorporated numerous things from New Super Mario Bros. Wii, including the Super Kong and Super Diddy sort of out for players who are struggling. One other area it directly copied was bringing in, for the first time in Donkey Kong history, 1-1 designations. 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. However, it still kept the Donkey Kong Country style level names.
Yeah, it kept the level names from Donkey Kong Country. So Donkey Kong Country Returns, it had sort of generic names for each world, but every level in Donkey Kong Country Returns had a alliterative or rhyming name.
Yeah, and as far as the world names go, and this is maybe besides the point we're making, but I do feel like I need to bring this up every time it comes up. I feel like they ultimately went with that because so many of the worlds in Donkey Kong Country Returns were just going over the same ground or territory.
Well, let's just talk about that. Like, they didn't need to do that, did they? Retro Studios, when they took on the Donkey Kong Country brand. That was I don't know what you think about this, but I thought that was a really interesting touch that they decided to take on the level naming convention from the Donkey Kong Country games when they brought it back.
Yeah.
They went with it and they ran with it. And that's one of the... it's so weird that we care about these things. But we do care about these things, don't we? And
we do.
One of the things that really endeared me to Donkey Kong Country Returns is the fact that they looked at the level naming convention of the Donkey Kong Country games and ran with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I said, like they just went by jungle, beach, etc.
Yeah, the world names weren't so good, but that also was good for us because that means that we could marry up the geography of Donkey Kong Island.
Right. I'm saying like
locales.
One of the reasons they did that was so they wouldn't completely contradict the pre-established canon, where if you look at the map of Donkey Kong Island in Returns, the first 3 worlds actually take place within the confines of the Congo jungle.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I like that they did that. That may be why they did that, in my opinion. But yes, they
I don't know if it was or not, but it's I really appreciated it at the time. Yeah.
It's especially,
because I'm very possessive about Donkey Kong games. I feel like it's mine, and I feel like I'm very. It's very important to me that people get it right when they make a new Donkey Kong game.
Same here, and that's why, I'm really hopeful that when Donkey Kong Island appears again in the next Donkey Kong game, if it does have the face again, because Super Smash Bros. Ultimate sort of made the face on Donkey Kong Island a prevalent feature again, we can just say, oh, they
rebuilt it.
They rebuilt it, yeah.
Yes.
So there's always ways for the brain to get out of any canon situation, but yeah, you're right. Like, Retro did sort of embrace that sort of rare style of naming convention.
And no one expected them to. There was no reason for them to do that. They could have just gone 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 5.
Which would have felt horrible. We complained enough with the map screen in Returns, the fact that the characters were represented by the token, and we threw a fit about that, and then Tropical Freeze came out, and the characters were on the map screen again, as they should be. But yeah, I think just going by 1, 1, 1, 2, I don't know if they added that because that was a suggestion from Nintendo, like, hey, this works really well for Mario, and this will help people know, where they are, but they still felt like, well, this is Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
We need to have names with the numbers. So, and it's interesting though, because Returns came out, and then New Super Mario Bros. U, the last of the New Super Mario Bros. Series thus far, and the one that launched the Wii U, it copied the Return style because it introduced level names for the first time.
Oh, really? I did not know this.
In a proper Super Mario Brothers game, it had level names, so it'd be 1-1 level name. I don't know what the level names are, but they did have level names, and
it's really interesting. I genuinely did not know that. Yeah,
so I have to wonder if Returns kind of set the template for that. So then the Mario team
I think it must be.
That.
It must be.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country Returns influenced the Mario series. I didn't know that at all. That's amazing.
So every time somebody tells you that the Donkey Kong games didn't innovate, that it took everything from Mario, you can say, what about the level names? Huh? Honestly, the most vital element of Donkey Kong games. I think the quote from Miyamoto that is probably not something he actually said.
Well, that's most quotes from him, though, isn't it?
Yes, but he didn't actually... he actually said it, but he didn't say anything about graphics. He said level names. He said Donkey Kong Country is proof that gamers will put up with mediocre gameplay so long as the level names are good.
Yes, he did say that, actually. You can quote this podcast on that if there's anyone from the gaming media listening to this.
Yeah, he's been crashing on my couch for the past couple of weeks, and I asked him, and that he said,
I didn't know if
he
wanted to admit that publicly, but yes, Shigeru Miyamoto has been crashing on Hyle's couch. Yeah, he's a bit down on his luck, isn't he?
Well, he flew out to the States for E3, and nobody told him E3 was canceled. Yeah, he didn't have anywhere to go.
He's not got enough money to go back. He's been living on American sandwiches.
To be fair, we do have some pretty good sandwiches over here.
Yeah, well, that is fair, but it's no life for a man like him.
I'm gonna have a big sandwich when we're done here.
Is he still asleep? Can you wake him up?
No, we need he needs his rest.
Yeah. No, it would be cruel to bring him in on an episode of a podcast about his creation, Donkey Kong.
So
it would
Matt,
not be fair.
It would not be. No, we must be fair to a beloved gaming icon such as himself.
Yes.
Matt,
what were you going to ask me?
I wasn't going to ask you. Well, yes, I was, but I wasn't like asking sounds so accusatory. Like I'm going to put you under the spotlight, and this is merely a chat between friends.
Okay.
Please
continue.
So this was your brainchild. This episode, this topic was something you felt passionate enough to come to me and say, "Hey, Hyle from off of DK Vine, I really want a conversation about level names.
I want to be on the conversation again, and I want to talk about the level names."
And I was like, Matt, I would love to have you on the conversation again. So I will talk about level names with you if this is what it takes.
Let's talk about Orangutan Gang.
Oh, beautiful name.
Let's talk about Ropey Rampage. Let's talk about, where do you want me to start, Hyle? Because there's so many. The reason I think this is a good topic for an episode of The Conversation is I think, laughably perhaps, that there is a certain poetry to them.
Yes, I agree. And I agree 100%.
And there's no good reason 100%. For there to be. But, no. Especially for perhaps in the Donkey Kong Land games where the level names aren't even in the game. You have to look into the manual. Sorry, Donkey Kong Land 1.
Donkey Kong Land 1, they don't even have the names displayed.
But someone sat down and thought of, what is this level called? Every level in the Donkey Kong Country series and Donkey Kong Land series and Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Kazooie up to a point, Banjo-Tooie, Conker's Pocket Tales, Ukulele and the Impossible Lair. All of these games have strange, either alliterative or rhyming or punning or just perhaps assignating level names. And I just thought that was interesting. And I thought perhaps you'd be interested in it too. And maybe we should talk about our favourite ones. And I don't know if we can ever get to the bottom of why they bother. Why did they bother? I don't know why they bother. But it just struck me as an interesting thing to talk about in a podcast. And that's why I'm here. And thank you for inviting me on. What do you think about it?
I think we can get to the heart of why they bother about it at the end of the episode, because I have some ideas, but I think that, just to be clear though, before we get started, we're not going to be getting into every single level name. We're not going to be reading down the list saying, this is a good one. What do you think about this one? What about this one?
Yes, but I do have one or two I'd like to talk about specifically. Like, oh, sure. There's a couple that I want to say about. We'll probably get to this later, but there's a few where I didn't get it until years and years later.
Oh yeah. There's a few of those as well. It's an education.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of those like references that classic Simpsons would make, and as a child, I that would be my introduction to that historical event or person or piece of entertainment or literature, and then from there, I would later learn about it through proper schooling, and I'd be like, oh yeah, like from The Simpsons. And it's the same way with Donkey Kong level names. There's some actual literary and very high-end references that you wouldn't expect. Yes. Some of them are quite stupid, but you wouldn't expect to see in what's ostensibly a children's game about funny monkeys.
No. So what do you want to do? How do you want to talk about this? Do you want to talk about some of our favorites, or do you want to talk about each game in turn?
I think the best way to go about it would be to first talk about each type, like what really makes like the individual components of Donkey Kong level names. Because
okay, I can do that.
Here's the thing about Donkey Kong level names. They're not necessarily descriptive. It's not like, now let's preface this by saying we're talking about in the case of Rare and Retro, the original English versions of the level names. I know these have been localized throughout the world through several different languages, and they all have different names and meanings in different languages. I'm going to be bringing up some of my favorite alternate language translations of some of these level names. Yes, and it like a little bit later I'll be getting into.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some that just make me laugh, or I'm like, I like that just as much as I do.
Well, I love it when localizers have fun with it and, go to town. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. Stay tuned, listeners.
But I do know that there are many people who listen to the Kongversation where English is not their first language. And so apologies if we're going to be going over like territory where like, well, that's not the level name I know. So this is really Matt and I just indulging in our own sort of our childhood experiences. But
yes, but it is the language in which these games were developed. So I think it's fair enough to talk about it in English.
Right. Which is why when we were waxing love over Butter Bridge, I was like, I don't even know what it would be called.
Yeah, some localizer from NOA came up with Butter Bridge.
Yeah.
And we will never know who that was.
No, we won't, because they don't... I mean, we could probably look at the credits and figure it out, but...
The person that came up with Butter Bridge will die without that on their tombstone, and that is a crying shame.
I would, at the very least, hope that their casket is just shaped like a stick of butter. Or just put them in a giant stick of butter.
I mean, I'll try and arrange that if I can, but I don't know if I've got the resources to sort that out. But I'll try.
Matt is actually an undertaker in his day-to-day life.
I undertake to be your friend.
So, you, I think, came up with 4 main points for what makes a Donkey Kong level name sing. What makes it especially poetic. And I thought we would go through all of these 4 points. You kind of alluded to some of them a little bit earlier. You also have subcategories of like within those realms, things that Rare and maybe Retro like to do, like to fall back on from time to time. And that really makes something feel like a Donkey Kong stage. So this is stuff that your brain has always picked up on, but you've probably never seriously thought about. And that's okay, because that's why Matt and I are here. We're here to think about this stuff for you.
That's what we're here for.
All right. So what's the first major point, Matt? What is the first major key towards making a beautiful Donkey Kong stage name?
Yeah, so all of these categories that I've identified have an exclamation mark at the end of them. So, category number 1 is, it alliterates! Exclamation mark.
The exclamation mark, by the way, means you found all of the bonus areas.
Yes, of course. Yeah. In preparation for this episode, I did actually, I'm not ashamed to say, I put a spreadsheet together of all the different level names and tried to categorize all of them. I didn't finish it in time for this recording, but I can tell you that alliteration is the most common naming convention by a country mile, by a Donkey Kong country mile. Most levels are just like Jungle Japes or Angry Aztec or Croctopus Chase, which is sort of not alliterative, but it begins with the same letter. Stuff like that. Category number 2 is a better category, I think, but rarer, no pun intended, which is, again, with an exclamation mark at the end of it. It rhymes! So it's less common than alliteration because they're quite difficult to come up with, really. But sometimes they can be quite funny, and sometimes they can be quite a bit stupid.
Right.
One of my favourites is vulture culture and deep reef grief.
Deep reef grief. I want to touch upon vulture culture because vulture culture is actually layered. Because
I think that means something else, doesn't it? I don't know what.
Well, yeah. Well, Vulture Culture was a studio album by the Alan Parsons Project.
I love the Alan Parsons Project. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
I love the Edgar Allan Poe thing. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't know about that. You can edit this bit out of the podcast if you want.
No, we're gonna leave what
leave
Alan
it
Parsons. Alan Parsons listens to the Kongversation, Matt. Why would we edit it out?
Because I don't want him to know that I'm not listening to all of his discography.
Alan Parsons calls me up on the regular and he says, you know what I consider to be my second project? DK Vine's The Kongversation. I love it that much.
Yeah, okay.
He's actually sleeping underneath the couch right underneath Miyamoto right now.
Yeah, you're putting up a lot of people at the moment, aren't you? It's very difficult for you. Well,
with the world economy and all.
Can I stay at yours tonight, actually?
What?
Can I stay at yours tonight?
I mean, sure. You'll have to, sleep
in the bin.
Yeah, because I've run out of spaces. Okay. I've run out of surfaces you can lay on.
Sleep in the bin. That's fine. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Anyway, category number 3 is... Now, this is a not so common category, but it crops up from time to time, and I wonder if I should have made this category before. But anyway, it assonates. Now, some people don't know what assonance means.
No, some people might be drawing a far different conclusion about assonate.
Yeah. So it means it shares the same vowel sound, but doesn't actually rhyme. So stuff like simmy and shimmy, it's got the I.
Yeah.
But I suppose that one falls into the category of alliteration. Although, does it though? Because it's a sh and a s. Anyway,
I think you'd make the case that something like simmy and shimmy, it mashes up assonation with alliteration, but not quite alliteration. So it barely gets over the finish line by confusing your brain, by making it think it almost rhymes and it almost alliterates when it does neither of the two.
Yes, I suppose so. Well, listen, category number 4 is, I think, the best category of level name, which is, it's a pun! And you know me, Hyle.
Yeah,
I love me a bit of pun fun.
I know that. Yeah. When I first met you, I thought, wow,
this is a guy that loves some pun fun.
I've met some people in my life.
Yep.
At least 8. And
so, yeah.
Number 9 over here, I've never met anyone who loved him a bit of pun fun more.
Yeah, thank you for that endorsement. Remember? I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you for the welcome. So I'm thinking, like, puns. There's loads of puns in Donkey Kong Universe level names. Loads of them. I'm thinking of stuff like Donkey Kong Country 3's Squeals on Wheels, which is a pun on Meals on Wheels. And
do you have Meals on Wheels over in the UK?
I'm not sure, actually, but I knew what it meant because of Twin Peaks.
Oh, okay, because I've always wondered about Squeals on Wheels because it seems like a uniquely American pun, and that it felt a bit weird to me that Rare would be going.
Yeah, it's never occurred to me that it might be a American thing until you've just said it just now. So either it is something that is in this country, or we know about it. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it seems silly in these days when the transatlantic culture is so homogenous, where we basically have the same entertainment and we're watching the same things, and there's like I think the only thing that might separate us is some of your like reality star celebrities are different from our reality star celebrities, but otherwise we pretty much have the same culture and have for the last decade.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I don't watch reality TV, so I don't know who Donald Trump or Alan Sugar are.
You know, I'll explain it to you when you're older, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
So those are the main categories that I've identified. Alliteration, rhyming, assonation, which is sort of like rhyming, and puns.
You mentioned Squeals on Wheels, and maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves here, because we will be talking about it. So Donkey Kong Land 3 is not a game that comes up much when we're talking about all of Rare's Donkey Kong output. I would say Donkey Kong Land 3 is in a running with Donkey Kong Land 2 for coming up the least.
Yeah.
And that is partially because it just feels like a watered down Donkey Kong Country 3 in some respects. Although Donkey Kong Land 3 did have an original plot, original levels, original worlds, but it did have the very same archetypes, and went through a lot of the similar motions that DKC 3 did. But Donkey Kong Land 3 may be the absolute king, the very best out of all of Rare's Donkey Kong games at coming up with level name puns.
Unbelievably fantastic level names. It's the best game ever made in level names.
I was talking about this on Discord the other day, because we were talking about this episode and what this episode was going to be about, and I just mentioned how Donkey Kong Land 3 feels as though the team or whoever was in charge of level names thought, well, this is the last Donkey Kong Land game. Nobody's paying attention anymore. I'm just going to have some fun with it. I don't care. I just don't care. It felt a bit like senioritis when you're almost done with school, or you've put in your 2 weeks at your job and you're just coasting and you're just having fun, and because nothing really matters. It felt like that, and I greatly appreciate that mentality.
I love the level names in Donkey Kong Land 3. I think So I said earlier about how the most common form of level name is alliteration. So whatever, Minky Mischief or Ropey Rumpus or whatever. Something that begins with the same letter. Donkey Kong Land 3 has the most puns as level names of any Donkey Kong Universe games. I've not compiled all the statistics, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So you've got things like...
It has to be.
It must be, like Miller Instinct, Black Forest Plateau.
Oh my god, I just got that! Oh my god, okay, because I've been, speaking of our homogenous transatlantic culture, I have been watching what you called the Great British Bake Off. It's Great British Baking Show over here, but it's the same show. Yeah, because I watch it with my wife, right? And it's
the
just
bloody ball and train, right? Okay.
No, but it's when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling like our modern depressing world.
Yes, it's a good it's a good way of winding down. Yeah. It's therapeutic. It's soothing.
We have daily mass shootings over here. I feel like everything is just circling the drain. The Paul Hollywood show. It's a great way to unwind and just have this kind of dopamine like effect kick in.
It's just like a warm bath, isn't it? It's just nice. It's just a nice little homely, delicious.
It is.
Nice thing to experience. Yeah, I can see that very much. I don't watch it particularly myself, but I'm glad that you enjoy it.
It's like one of the frothier Paul McCartney songs where you're just like, oh, okay. But anyway, so that being said, I know all of the desserts now. Where in the past, I didn't know all of the desserts. I didn't know.
Black Forest Plateau.
Yeah, I just got that. Oh my God. I just got it.
Well, there's a few that I didn't get until very recently. I don't know if we'll come to that later, but yes.
Wow. Yeah. Donkey Kong Land 3 is amazing.
It's amazing. There's some that I didn't get until years and years later. For example, Tin Can Valley, which is a pun on Tin Can Alley, which is it's like what is it, like a recording studio in New York or somewhere?
I think so. Yeah.
Soul music was recorded. I don't know. I didn't get that. Let's see. Here's a good one. Now, some of the level names spill out into the names of music tracks. So I don't know if you want to cover that. Well, I'm going. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and do it.
Let's do
it. Fuck it.
Why are you asking me? Yeah. Do you want to talk about Donkey Kong on the Kongversation?
Do you want to talk about Donkey Kong in this podcast style? Yeah. Am I all right talking about that? All right. I'll go ahead and talk about Donkey Kong.
No, I want to talk about tragic news stories more, Matt. No, let's.
Yeah, do you? Yeah, let's talk about school shootings. No, let's talk about DK Island Swing, which is the name of.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
You're familiar with that? Yeah. DK Island Swing is a pun on the Highland Fling, which is a dance. I didn't get that until very, very recently.
Oh my God! Are you shitting me? What? What? That's a pun?
Yeah.
Oh!
Did you genuinely not know that? Well, I'm reassured that you didn't know that, because I didn't know that until quite recently.
I would go lie down on my couch, but there's a beloved video game developer on there right now. Oh my God. That's a lot to take. That's a pun? Like, I just thought it was just a name they gave it.
Yeah. DK Island Swing. The Highland Fling. Yeah. Sometimes things only hit you years and years later.
It makes me feel like an idiot is what it makes me feel like. Like, it makes me feel like I'm slow and dull and not as clever as I thought I was.
Well, some of them are easier to get. Like, how about this? So you were saying about Donkey Kong Land 3 and how it is the kind of the Bible of level name puns.
That's how they marketed it.
That's how they marketed it. I remember at the time it was a very strange marketing campaign. That's probably why it doesn't sell as well as it could have.
Right.
Yeah. Coco Channel.
Yeah. Like, I will be talking about Coco Channel a little bit more later in this episode.
The problem with that one is you have to know what a Coco is.
Right.
Which is one of the drones in Donkey Kong Country 3.
It's the clownfish.
Yeah,
it's the little clownfish. Yeah.
Called Coco.
And those are the kind of level names I admire, I think, the most. Where you
mention a drone or character name and make it part of a pun that only a select portion of society will understand. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If you're playing a Donkey Kong game, I think you should be required to know what the fish are called in a Donkey Kong game.
I agree.
And maybe this,
Tile, I hate to interrupt you and say this, but there are some people that play Donkey Kong games and Donkey Kong Country games and Donkey Kong Land games that don't know what the names of the fishes are.
I know this, Matt, but that's why
I can hear in your voice that this idea is making you physically sick.
I am swallowing my bile.
But I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's here's why I applaud them putting baddie names in levels. It's because and none of this like clam city shit where they just refer. Yeah, we all know they're clams, but you're not going to teach anybody that they're called Clambos.
Well, Clam City is interesting because it's alliteration, but it doesn't have the same consonant sound at the start of it. Clam City. So it starts with the same letter, but it doesn't start with the same sound. Anyway, please continue.
Yeah, I feel like Clam City is hilariously shitty. Yeah. But
Clam City, hilariously shitty.
Speaking of Mario, we talked a bit about Mario earlier. Everybody knows Koopa Troopas and Goombas and Buzzy Beetles, and that's just part of common vernacular, I feel. Hammer Brothers, right? I feel like everybody should know the Donkey Kong baddies just as strongly. And aside from maybe Kremlings, nobody, and maybe Zingers, maybe an outside chance people know Zingers. Nobody really knows what the Donkey Kong baddies are called. So the fact that Donkey Kong Land 3 says, no, you're going to know what a Coco is. You're going to know what a recoil is. I feel like that is the way to go. You need to constantly educate the masses, or else they're never going to know. They're never going to learn. They're not going to look on Wikipedia for this information.
Yeah, don't spoon feed these things to people. Make people appreciate the level names. For what there are a lot of levels that are named after a character or drone. So I'm thinking off the top of my head, maybe Vulture Culture is obviously not. They're not Necky's. Necky's Nuts. What about Necky's Nuts?
Necky's Nuts, yeah. Necky Nutmare in
Necky Nutmare in Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Color. Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have these in front of me. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. How about some of the move names in Banjo-Kazooie, like Breagle Bash?
Yeah. That
Breagle Blaster. A Breagle isn't a thing.
No, and would people remember what a Breagle is if it wasn't in so many move names in Banjo-Kazooie, constantly reinforcing to you, the commoner, what a Breagle is? I feel like people would just call Kazooie the bird if they didn't constantly remind you that she is a Breagle. And I feel like we need to constantly remind people what these Donkey Kong baddies are called.
Could have been easily have been Bird Bash. Yeah, you're right. I'm just looking at the Donkey Kong Country Returns level list, and we've got Mugly's Mound, which is Mugly, the chameleon.
Yes. Jackson Chameleon, I believe, is the type of chameleon Mugly is.
Oh, yes. Well, please forgive me. Mole Patrol.
Yeah, because they're moles. I mean, but if people don't know what a mole is, I don't really know if that will help them. Like, if you've gone your entire life without encountering the concept of a burrowing rodent, that is the mole, and because they don't have like fancy names, the moles in Donkey Kong Country Returns. No. They're just moles. Yeah,
I called them hard hats.
Well, yes, Hard Hat, we at least know was the singular boss in Donkey Kong Land, who the moles in Donkey Kong Country Returns may have been based off of, because we know Retro played Donkey Kong Land. But that's a rabbit hole, or a mole hole, for another day.
It's there's all these categories of level names, and I don't know what conclusion we want to draw from this discussion, other than that it's just a nice little touch, and it's a nice thing. It's nice that they brought it back for the Donkey Kong Country Returns, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze duology. It's one of the things that endeared me, I don't know about you, but it endeared me to the resurrection of the Donkey Kong Country series.
It definitely wouldn't have felt like a homecoming if we didn't have those. Like,
it's just a little touch that's nice.
Yeah. I think it helped us get past the poor map screen presentation, the fact that the world names were so bland and descriptive. Yeah. I think having those level names like Muncher Marathon definitely helped sort of bridge the divide between the trilogy and what we now know as the duology. Remember when we thought it was going to be a trilogy? We called it the Donkey Kong Country Returns trilogy, and
let's hold on to
Baja Blast. Yes. Well, I feel like the next Donkey Kong game will be its own thing, and it will be another new start. So it is what it is.
But I'd love it if there were a third one. But I realize it's not likely at this point. Yes,
maybe one day. I'm still holding out hope for another Diddy Kong Racing, Matt. So, and I know you've looked through all the timelines.
Diddy Kong Racing, as you know, is my favorite game of all time. So
I do know this, and it is for some reason, it's not in my top 4 when it has more influence on me than.
I know no one agrees with me on this.
No, it's definitely in my top 10, my top 7, but it's. Maybe in my top 5, I need to check my list. But anyway, yeah, I don't think like Rare sought out to have a naming convention. I mean, they definitely didn't.
No, I don't think there was ever a meeting where they said, right, let's name our levels this way.
Right. The Stampers didn't have this 8-hour symposium on proper level naming.
I do wonder why this came about. Like, what? I suppose they just named. I suppose it must have started as a joke, and then everyone just ran with it. And then Retro saw that all the Donkey Kong Country trilogy games did that, and carried it on. It's just such a lovely little quirk that I, for some reason, really admire. I don't know why it's important to me, but it is.
Yeah, I think
Let's talk about Jungle Hijinks.
Okay, yeah, and Jungle Hijinks shows they put some thought into it, because it was originally called Jungle Japes, which of course we now know is the first world.
This. So how did you find this out?
Oh, because in early screenshots of Donkey Kong Country...
It was called Jungle Japes.
Jungle Japes, which of course became the first world in Donkey Kong 64. Yeah. And then later a Smash Brothers stage that everybody probably knows better now than the DK 64 world. But yeah, Jungle Japes, and then they thought about it, and they thought Jungle Hijinks is a better name. And they added the incorrect S after the X.
Yeah.
I mean, hijinks is spelled with a K, right? So the XS spelling is a complete invention of Rare.
Yeah.
Like
so I have a theory about why that is, which is that I think it's meant to be a pun on Jinx, Jinx. So Jungle Hijinks, Jinx. That's my theory on it.
And that may be correct considering where DKC2 took things. I think Greg Mails or somebody spoke on this on Twitter.
Yeah, I think people have been asked about this on the development team, and no one can remember what the logic was behind naming it that.
I do remember they said they added the S, the totally unnecessary S, to the end of Hijinks because they thought it looked better.
Funny. Yeah.
It just looks better. Who cares how language works? I think it looks better.
Jungle Hijinks is. But yeah, I think it's supposed to be a pun on Jinx. But that's the best I can come up with.
It may very, very well be, considering DKC2 had Jungle Jinx.
Yeah.
Just Jungle Jinx.
I quite forgot.
So, having that nice dichotomy of your front yard, Donkey Kong's front yard being hijinks, and then visiting the Kremlin Lost World jungle.
That's just Jinx.
Jungle Jinx, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've got a couple of others where I've got theories.
Okay.
I have actually, listeners who are listening to this, I have prepared some things in advance.
I am not privy to any of this. The Donkey Kong 64 world. Yeah.
I've got a theory about Angry Aztec.
I would love to hear it.
Yeah. Which is that, so the Angry Aztec world, as you well know, is a desert level in Donkey Kong 64. And as far as anyone can tell, nothing to do with ancient Aztec culture.
No, it feels like they wanted to make an Egyptian stage.
Yes.
And nobody told them what the Aztec culture or
and
people were actually about.
Yeah. I suppose what they're doing is generically referring to an ancient culture to make an alliteration work. Except, I'm a massive fan of the Channel 4 UK TV show The Crystal Maze, which was very popular in the mid-90s.
Okay.
Hosted by Richard O'Brien from off of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And
okay. Yeah.
one of the zones in the Crystal Maze is the Aztec zone, which is styled as a kind of desert ziggurat, kind of ancient temple. So I think that the people of Rare were watching the Crystal Maze and saw the Aztec zone from the Crystal Maze and thought, let's do a zone or level based on the Aztec zone from the Crystal Maze. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. What do you think?
So you're saying that the complete misappropriation of the Aztec terminology is not Rare's fault.
No, it's the fault
Crystal
of Richard
Maze's
O'Brien from off of
yeah.
Rocky Horror. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
It's not Rare's fault.
No.
They didn't know any better. They can't be expected to do any research. Why would they be?
It's nice to finally absolve them of that guilt, because I felt bad for years. I was like, wow, I'm a huge Rare fan, but the one thing holding me back from being a Rare super fan is Angry Aztec. And now I can just run right in there and embrace them without any guilt.
I'm so glad, Hyle. Are there any ones of yours that you didn't get until years later? And Coco Channel is one that I didn't get until quite recently.
So one I didn't get until I started. I got into high school, maybe even college. Was Bleak's House.
Bleak's House, yes, that's a great one. I remember thinking at the time when I went to that. Well, why didn't they call it like Bleak's Peak or
right?
Bleak's
Peak,
Blizzard or something? Yeah, something alliterative or rhyming. No, it's a Dickens reference. Yeah.
Yeah, Bleak House is a Dickens novel, and that's
the kind of level name you'd expect from Donkey Kong Land 3, not Donkey Kong Country 3.
No, DKL 3 had Bleak Magic.
Yes, which is another pun.
Yes, yes. So, but yeah, no, that's the kind of like hirsute literary reference that I wouldn't expect from a game where a monkey and her onesie-wearing, dribbling toddler sidekick meet a bunch of bears. So
that's very literarily sophisticated, Donkey Kong Land 3, isn't it?
It really is, yes. And that's the kind of thing where I appreciate that they were making jokes that they knew kids wouldn't get, but maybe one day the seeds they planted would blossom.
20 years later.
Yeah,
someone would mention it on a podcast.
Or just, again, for me, when I discovered the Dickens novel, Bleak House.
Yeah, what did you think when you discovered that? Because you must have thought, wait a minute, that's from Donkey Kong Land 3.
Yeah, no, I remember just feeling that feeling wash over me where I was like, is there a snowman in this?
Yeah, what is this about? Is it about a top-hatted snowman throwing things at a baby or not?
I have to admit, I was disappointed. Every time there's an adaptation of Bleak House, like the BBC or whomever does an adaptation, I always hold out hope.
Who's playing Bleak? Is it Benedict Cumberbatch or not?
Yeah, is he the snowman in this? And there's never a snowman that shows up. Although I say this, there was a stage presentation of Oliver Twist recently.
Oh yeah,
and they used Bleak the Snowman as the factory worker's father. I'm not making this up. Look it up. Hold on.
I think I saw this on your Twitter. Yes.
Yeah. I tweeted about
on
it.
DK Vine's Twitter, at DK Vine.
So there was a production of Oliver Twist in Sweden recently, and
what the fuck is that?
I don't know how to read this production company's name. It's Umix.
Someone's put effort into sort of, I suppose, tracing the render of Bleak the Snowman from Donkey Kong Country 3 as part of a stage production of what did you say, Bleak House?
It's Oliver Twist.
Oliver Twist, yes.
Not even Bleak House.
Not even Bleak House.
Yes. So the so they do this production company. They do
That's incredible.
They do humorous takes.
Listeners,
on
if you are listening
plays.
to this and don't have any visuals, I invite you to. We'll include this as a link on the description of the podcast.
Oh, I guess we will. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'll do it if you don't.
Matt bossing me around. I guess I have to now.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do humorous productions of
so
classic plays, and so in this version of Oliver Twist, the play's villain, who was a factory foreman, he's actually an evil snowman in disguise. And his father is Bleak
so
the
clearly
Snowman.
someone's Google image searched evil snowman or something and found a picture of Bleak from Donkey Kong Country 3 and thought, I'll use that as my reference for this picture.
So a DK Viner by the name of Fear Navigator used to be part of this production company when they were in college.
Oh, really? So it's deliberate.
Yes, they asked them, hey, was that a deliberate DKC3 reference? It's like, yes, we wanted to reference Bleak the Snowman. So,
that's nice. That's nice, actually.
Yeah.
I thought I just assumed it was oblivious, bad Google image searching, but no, it's a loving tribute to Bleak the Snowman. So that's lovely.
Yes, because if you do a Google image search for evil snowman.
Oh, yes.
Let's
do it together. Let's see what we come up with.
Yeah. I don't see Bleak anywhere.
You don't see Bleak anywhere.
Sure.
That's a damning admonishment of Google image search.
I don't even see Sir Slush.
You don't even see Slush? Well, it's because you've built up such a good reputation for yourself, Hyle, as a nice person.
I couldn't possibly be an evil snowman.
No, you couldn't possibly be. No, I don't. I'd say a lot of. I mean, I don't know if this is good audio. Put a lot of toothy grin snowmen.
Yeah, and that's the thing. All of the rare evil snowmen were very gummy. They didn't have very those gummy. Teeth.
Very gummy and frowny rather than toothy.
Yeah, they were just mildly irritated snowmen. Not even necessarily evil.
No. So what conclusions have we drawn?
It's that I think Rare just liked to come up with, if poetry is too hard of a sell, they liked what they liked. They
like to have fun with it.
Yes, they knew what sounded good and what sounded whimsical. One of my favorite things when writing is to play with the language a bit, right?
Yes.
And sometimes you come up with anachronisms that don't really work with the language, but you can just sledgehammer it in and it's funnier that way. And I feel like Rare would often do that. And I'm not sure who was behind the level names, if it was a group effort, if in like later entries it was like Lee Loveday who came in, or what.
I don't think it was ever a meeting that happened. I just think it's something that happened organically. And
then once the template is put down, once the template is put down, then they're like, well, this is what level names in Donkey Kong games are. Let's follow that pattern. And that continues through Tropical Freeze. So, Matt, like, those are the crystallizing, like, 4 tenets of how to make a good Donkey Kong level name.
Yes.
But within those four, there are also subcategories, riffs that they often go back to. There are like things that they rely on to help sell it, make it feel more authentic, and to make it sing. And you have, I think, broken down the subcategories into seven major points for the subcategories of Donkey Kong level names.
I think, yes. So I've got subcategories. So almost always it's either going to be a pun, a rhyme, or an alliteration. Most often an alliteration, and every once in a while an assonation. But also sometimes you will have a mention of a primate species. Mm-hmm. For example, chimp caverns, or Lake Orangatanga, or a reptile species, for example, crocodile cauldron. Or sometimes it will be something like the name of a character. So, Necky's Nuts, or Bumblebee Rumble. Bumblebee, even though reference to Queen Bee.
Yes, the bee in Bumblebee is referencing Queen Bee. Her name isn't Bumblebee.
No, I wasn't saying that.
That would make too much sense. I'm saying that would make too much sense, and we have to make it confusing. We have to make...
Yeah, but Bumblebee rhymes with Rumble, so Bumblebee Rumble.
Yeah, Bumblebee Rumble, yes.
Queen Bee. The bee is part of her name. Look, this is just what I've written down. Now, one of my favourite subcategories is a deliberate misspelling of a word, sometimes for no real reason other than to make the pun work. So, I'm thinking of Tundra Blunder.
Tundra Blunder. Yeah, not
Blunda.
And here's the thing, Tundra Blunder would still sort of work.
Tundra Blunder, spelled ER, would have been fine. But
yes,
no,
but
Tundra Blunder.
Tundra Blunder just pushes it over the edge into stupidity.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Kremlantis Chaos, spelt Kaos, before the Donkey Kong Country 3 character Chaos, Kaos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So before there was ever a all-caps Chaos, the killer robot who is possessing the brains of Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong to lead the Kremlings, there was Kremling lowercase Chaos, but still spelled the same way as Robot Chaos.
Yeah.
Kremlantis Chaos.
So, mentioning a primate species, mentioning a reptile species, mentioning a character, they are three characters. They are three categories I've identified. I've also, because listeners, I've thought about this for too long. I've also identified sort of categories of adjective that some levels utilize. So stuff like in the list that Hyle is looking at, I've listed fighting talk, shenanigans talk, and scary talk.
Scary talk.
So fighting talk would be stuff like implying a kerfuffle, like rattle battle, rainforest rumble. So words meaning a fight. Shenanigans talk is stuff like an adventure or jiggery pokery, like jungle japes. I can't think of any immediately at the top of my head. And scary talk is words to do with insanity, like minecart madness. I should say in the UK, mad means crazy / insane / mentally unwell rather than angry.
You know, it means that. It means that here too. We have both meanings over here too. No,
I never miss an opportunity to alienate myself from the American audience of this podcast.
No, I'm just saying, like, none of us in the States or in the Americas ever thought that minecart madness meant minecart angriness. Like, we knew it was referring to craziness, like insanity or, Well,
I suppose anger is still a word. Like, this is what I'm thinking. I think there's other categories to go into. So, fighting, synonyms, shenanigans, I can't bloody talk. Scary synonyms, and I think possibly anger synonyms would work. E.g., Angry Aztec. It's not a synonym; it's just the same word, but I think there'd be words such as like escapades, adventures. I can't immediately. I don't have a list in front of me with level names on it, but I'm sure there'd be ones like that. Like, oh, how about this? How about we name a level ourselves? Wait, you've got a level set in a public toilet. What do you call it? Toilet trouble?
Tinkle trouble.
You bend. You tinkle trouble is great. You bend ubiquity. I don't know. Drain pain. Drain pain.
Drain pain.
Lupu. Come on, this is improv. Come on, Hyle. Yes, and me. No? Okay.
Flushing rushes? No.
Flushing rushes? That's assonance.
Yeah, I guess
that's
that would
one
work.
of the least prominent categories. Yeah, you got to get another assonance in there. Flushing rushes. I like that.
Urine stain pain.
Urine stain pain. Well, let's talk about some of the more pathetic level names.
Yes, so you actually have this listed under "can't be bothered," which I feel is the perfect descriptor for some of these level names. And this can be a work of art in and of itself. This is not necessarily disparaging this when you just, especially as a contrast to the ones that are very poetic. They work on so many levels, and then you have the ones where you clearly just have a shit name. And I've talked about the poetry of shit rare names in the past, where you can have a character named Mr. Pants or Captain Bones, where it's just utterly crap. No effort or thought has been put into it, and that's what makes it hilarious.
Well, so can't be bothered.
Yes.
Well, okay, let's have a look at what most of the levels in Diddy Kong Racing probably fall into this.
Yeah, I guess they would, because you do have.
You've got Dino Domain, and then everything else is just
Ancient Lake. Ancient Lake. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, like Hot Top Volcano. Sort of works, but things like Frosty Village. Well, it's just it's a Frosty Village. Thanks.
Rail Bay.
It definitely feels more Mario-esque, and it's just bluntly telling you what this level is, what this track is.
Yeah, so that's one category. Although what I wanted to talk about was not so much those, because I do love the level naming convention in Diddy Kong Racing, even though, as you say, they've not bothered with any of the sort of alliteration, rhyming, whatever it is, punning conventions. They do, I think, in Diddy Kong Racing have a kind of poetry to them anyway. I hope that doesn't sound too pretentious.
We wouldn't want to get pretentious about our Donkey Kong games, would we?
We wouldn't. But I mean, the real clinchers of can't be bothered probably would be Donkey Kong Country Returns' world names, which were just jungle, beach, ruins, cave, forest, cliff, factory, volcano, cloud.
Yeah.
But never mind about those. What I really want to talk about, Hyle, is level names that do adhere to the conventions I've identified, but which are a bit shit. So,
all right, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. What do you?
Of which my favorite is Donkey Kong Land 2, Donkey Kong Land Level 2, which is, as we all know, let's say it together, freezing fun.
Freezing fun.
Freezing fun.
Freezing, which makes no sense because, if you're freezing, you're probably not having fun.
Freezing fun.
Yeah.
It begins with an F though, so it counts as a level name. Freezing fun.
Freezing.
You had to look that up in the manual to find out what it was called.
Yeah.
Freezing fun.
Was it worth it? Was it worth
looking at
digging out the manual, dusting it off, finding the page?
What level did I just have difficulty with? Oh, it was freezing fun.
That is not necessarily representative of all Donkey Kong Land level names, because
Donkey Kong Land has some great level names. So
construction site fight.
Yes,
is just
fight or fright.
I thought it was fight.
Might be fright.
Might be fright. Okay, well.
Either way, it's fine.
Skyscraper caper.
That's a good one. How about let's have a look. Pothole panic. I've been told in the live chat to mention.
Well, is pothole panic also, has that been reused?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. It sounds like something from Donkey Kong Country 3, doesn't it? I think there was a pothole level in Donkey Kong Country 3.
There is.
But I don't think it was called Pothole Panic. Let me just look that up.
No, it was.
Is this good audio? I don't think so.
It was Pothole Panic in DKC 3.
Ah.
So,
wow.
That's
good knowledge. Good back of your head knowledge.
You're welcome.
Congrats, Hyle. Yes.
If you ever did a podcast with somebody who would have back of his head Donkey Kong level name knowledge, I would hope it would be me. I would have to hang up my my Donkey Kong playing hands if
I mean, it's I am genuinely impressed.
Well, I think you should set your criteria for being impressed a little bit higher, but I appreciate it nonetheless because, again, I don't get much positive affirmation in what I do for DK Vine, and sometimes it's a lonely road.
Sometimes all it takes is someone to say, well done, remembering that Pothole Panic has been named as the level name twice.
Well, that's going to get into a category that I will get into of things I hate.
Oh.
I hate that there's a second Pothole Panic. Oh my god.
I hate that too. I hate that there's another Bramble Scramble.
I hate that too. What are some of the other favorites of yours, Matt?
Oh, let's have a think. So I quite like. Well, I've mentioned Vulture Culture, haven't I? Which let me think.
You have, but it's worth mentioning again because it's. I mean that is such a memorable level name, and even though they nicked it from Alan Parsons, I enjoy that it's still in Donkey Kong Country. That's how most people of a certain age will know the term Vulture Culture.
Yeah, you mentioned Skyscraper Caper, didn't you? That was a good one.
Yeah.
Let me think. You put me on the spot. I don't know.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I do have favourites. I like Kremke because that begins with a different letter, but it has the alliteration in the sound of it.
Except unless you don't know how to say it, like so many children, at least in the States, who thought it was Kremque.
I suppose so.
Kremque. Yeah.
What are your favourites? I'm just giving myself time.
Let me go through the list. How about we do this? We'll talk about some of our favorites.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna get into.
I listed them, didn't I, in the show notes, which I'm not looking at.
You did. we'll talk about our favorites. I'll talk about some of my favorites ones
here we
across
go.
the world.
I've got them in front of me now, Hyle, so I've got notes.
That's fine. we'll talk about our favorites. We'll talk about some of our favorites my favorites at least, around the world. Some of the non-English localization ones that I really like.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to this. So go ahead.
We've got some calls to take. Then we'll end it by me talking about my least favorites, because I feel like we should end things on a down note so people feel bad when they leave.
We can't leave people on a high.
Because
Absolutely
so many
not.
people, they come up to me in the sweet shop, Matt, and they say, Hyle from DK Vine. Why did the conversation have to end last week? You were 3 hours and 18 minutes into talking about extraterrestrials in the Donkey Kong universe, and I could have gone another 20 hours. You left me wanting. And you know what? I felt like I let that person down in the sweet shop. So I was like, you know what? On the next episode of the conversation, I want to leave a sour taste in their mouth that isn't from the sour candy in the sweet shop. I want them to feel so bad that it's a relief that the conversation is ending. And I feel like that's what I need to start doing, really.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Otherwise, this will never end.
Let's
and we'll
take
be
these
here
calls
all
then.
day. Well, we're not going to take the calls. We're going to talk about our favorites first. Our favorites of the level names. So I guess I'm going to go 5. How do we want to do this? Do we want to each list one, or do we just want to just list all of ours and then...
Let's do one each. I mean, we've talked about some of them. So let's talk about the ones that we haven't talked about.
Or maybe we've already talked about these, but they're worth going into greater depth. So let me preface this by saying that none of these are my favorite levels. In fact, most of these I don't really care about as levels, but the level names are so fantastic that I can't help but love them. So, for example, Bramble Scramble is my favorite Donkey Kong Country 2 stage, and indeed, probably my favorite level in any 2D platformer ever. But Bramble Scramble is not on my list, because then I would just be judging this on the criteria of the actual levels and not their names. I think Bramble Scramble is a great name that works, but it's not in my top 5.
Well, it's in the list of levels that have the same name as other levels that aren't the same level. Bramble Scramble, Jungle Hijinks, Gangplank Galleon.
Yeah, so...
Off the top of my head.
So this might be the only time you ever really hear me talk in great detail about some of these stages, because they wouldn't come up in a conversation otherwise. Number 5, Ugly Ducting.
Yes.
From Donkey Kong Land 3. Ugly Ducting. Ducting.
Yes.
Because you're in a drain pipe. It's so stupid. It's so beautiful. It's both just precious and precocious and just utterly shit that I want to give it a big hug and lick its face.
Ugly Ducting.
Ugly Ducting.
My number 5
most of my list is from Donkey Kong Land 3.
Well, yes, I tried to steer clear of Donkey Kong Land 3 because but I ended up with 2 Donkey Kong Land 3 levels anyway. Donkey Kong Land 3 is a treasure trove of excellent level names. My number 5 was Freezing Fun, which we've talked about already.
Because it's so stupid. Yeah. Freezing Fun from off of Donkey Kong Land. It's
stupid.
It's stupid, yeah. Especially in light of like Tropical Freeze and how much pain and misery snow and ice brings the Kongs. Yeah. But no, Freezing Fun.
Can you imagine one of those levels being called Freezing Fun?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Number 4 for me, already mentioned it, Bleak's House from off of Donkey Kong Country 3. It's wonderful. And Donkey Kong Country 3 does have quite a bit of this. Like, K3 is a pun that it's not really even a pun. It's just more of a play on words. It's, K2. There's K2, the mountain.
And this K3.
This is K3 because it's Donkey Kong Country 3. I love that. That's just dumb. And Bleak's House as the boss of K3 works in an excellent literary reference that is above the head of any small child playing the game unless they're from an incredibly well-read household.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, I just thought it was a lame... What? Bleak's house? Is that all?
Bleak's house. Yeah,
At least
that
Donkey
would go
Kong Land
into
3 had bleak magic.
Well, it makes you wonder, like, Bleak's house is, like, if you don't know the reference, would you categorize that under the can't be bothered?
The character, yeah. You have to look in the manual to find out what the name of the snowman is, and then you get it. You have to both be interested in the manual of the game and be a reader of Dickens.
And then, even then, if you're not a reader of Dickens, you might think it's can't be bothered. Like, they just... Oh, what's the name for this boss fight? Bleak's house. We're done. No. Yeah.
Okay, my number 4 is Ford Knox from Donkey Kong Land 3.
Ford Knox.
Enough said, I think. Yeah, so that's a pun on Fort Knox, which is...
Right, which...
what is Fort Knox?
Fort Knox is where they keep... It's where they kept all the... No, it's where they kept all the gold. I think it's in Kentucky or Tennessee or somewhere. It's where when America was. I guess it still matters because we're not on the gold standard anymore. But it's basically where we keep all the bars of gold that
yes,
like give the American dollar implied worth. And it was actually where Goldfinger, the movie Goldfinger, climaxed in Fort Knox. Yeah, because Goldfinger wanted to like irradiate the gold or something. I forget, but Fort Knox. Yeah, that's a good one. My number 3 is Total Recoil from Donkey Kong Land 3. The fact that we have a Total Recall reference in a Donkey Kong game, and it's in reference to the springy-tailed orange Kremling with the dangly tongue. Because again, you have to know who Recoil is to understand Total Recoil.
You have to do quite a lot of work to get a lot of these.
Right. You have to be a worldly individual who sees movies, who reads books, and plays the monkey games, and knows everything about the monkey games.
Of course. This is highbrow stuff, listeners. Highbrow stuff. My number 3 is Oil Drum Alley, which is, I think, a pun on Tin Pan Alley, the music publishers from the 1960s.
Oh, God damn it, you're right. Oh, my God. I just thought it was just a fun name, Oil Drum Alley.
Yeah.
Tin Pan... Oh, God. I'm just, like, are there puns we don't know, Matt?
I think there might be puns that we don't get. I think there will be... plenty of these that we don't get. Like, I've got number 2 as Red Dwarf. I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm pretty sure a lot of American players of Donkey Kong Land 3 won't know what the hell that is.
No, Red Dwarf I did not understand, and then I think it was the aughts at the height of DVD, when DVD was a format and everybody was buying DVDs. This was before streaming, mind you. And there was a lot, like in the DVD boom, they were suddenly bringing over a lot of UK entertainment to the States because,
and then you discovered Red Dwarf.
Red Dwarf, yeah. And
which is a kind of star.
This was right around the time that Doctor Who first broke into the US, because it had been around on PBS, during the classic era, but only weirdos who watch PBS knew of it. And then we got the reboot or the new era of Doctor Who. It was on a year delay over here, so we didn't get it until 2005 after they had already announced David Tennant was the new Doctor. We got the first series with Christopher Eccleston, and it did pretty well. People became fans, and then it just kind of grew in popularity once we got the Tennant episodes. And then on Tennant's last specials, that's when we got same day airing as the UK.
That's when you caught up. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was his final, The End of Time, Part 1 and 2. That's when we first got them the same day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Matt Smith is erroneously listed as the Doctor who, made Doctor Who popular in America. And it's like, no, it was David Tennant. It just we couldn't watch them the same day. Anyway, that being said, so during that mini British sci-fi boom in the mid-aughts, they brought Red Dwarf over here, and maybe it aired, somewhere throughout the years, but it sort of gained more of a cultural foothold.
So have you watched it
over here? I have not.
I thought this was going to lead to, and I have become the biggest fan of. This is your voice, by the way. I have become the biggest fan of Red Dwarf. Yeah.
Wow, I sound like that, huh? Wow.
Like that. You know, exactly like that. It's almost exactly the same as my voice.
So, yeah, that being said, I do.
So you get the references.
Red Dwarf.
But basically,
and in fact,
you can edit out this entire section of the podcast and say, so I got that reference.
Yeah, I saw the DVD in the store and I went, oh my God, they got me again.
I think you'd like Red Dwarf, for the record.
I'm sure I would. I'm sure I would. It's just I haven't bothered.
No. Well,
I am excited about Doctor Who. All the news coming out about the new series next year and
Shooty Gaptois.
Yeah.
He's handsome. Yes, it's a shame Whittaker is not staying on. I would have liked her to stay on for Russell T Davies.
I would like her to stay on with a different showrunner, just so she could get
see how she gets on. But,
a well-regarded series of her with a different showrunner. But anyway, my number 2. We're just talking about Doctor Who now. Yes, we're not even talking about Donkey Kong.
Why are you listening to this, listeners? We're talking about Doctor Who now.
Number 2 is actually bucking the trend of my top 5. Jungle Hijinks.
Yeah.
And as an extension, Jungle Jinx and Homecoming Hijinks in Tropical Freeze. I like that the Donkey Kong series has this made-up spelling of hijinks, and that it's remained consistent. Nobody ever came along and said, "Oh, that's a typo.
That's not how you
need
type
to fix that." No,
that's not.
They've
someone
committed.
internal to Rare must have known that was wrong, but they did it anyway. It's such a strange combination of words. XS at the end of a word.
XS, yeah.
I don't believe that. I mean, someone that's good at Scrabble can probably correct me on this, but are there any words that end NXS?
Yeah. No, that's it. But yeah, I like that they committed.
Yeah.
And that Retro continued
I love that
it.
Retro, copied it and with Homecoming Hijinks duplicated it again.
And I normally don't like, as I'll get into, when they reuse level names for level names that aren't the same level, but I did find it acceptable that Jungle Hijinks was used as the first level in Returns.
Yeah, well, we were saying earlier about how one of the things that I think endeared both of us to Donkey Kong Country Returns, amongst many other things, was the level name convention, and the fact that the first level in Donkey Kong Country Returns is called Jungle Hijinks. And it's spelt like that. And I just thought that was wonderful. And it really made me, as someone who's loved the Donkey Kong games for a long time, feel welcome, I suppose.
Yeah, even if you were put on edge by things like Diddy riding on Donkey Kong's back, or Donkey Kong blowing on things.
It won me over.
Or the waggle controls. Yeah. Having that was just like, okay, maybe everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, it won me over, Donkey Kong Country Returns, and I don't think it gets enough credit these days. For
it doesn't. It's become undervalued as the years have gone on. It's the pendulum has swung too harshly in the other direction, and I'm anxious for the day when they re-release it and more people can experience it again, and we can be more even-handed in our discussion of it.
Yes, I hope it gets. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope it gets some kind. It'd be nice to be able to play it on the Switch, I suppose, but who knows? But anyway, it's a very important game for me, and I think for you as well.
Likewise.
And,
yes.
Yeah.
Matt, why don't you go ahead and give us your favorite?
The problem is I've sort of shot my gun early, if that's the phrase. Which is my favorite is DK Island Swing.
Yeah. Which isn't even a level name. It's a music track.
Name. Well, I was going to talk about music track names, but I didn't have time to come up with them all. But that's a good one, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I didn't even realize it was a pun until I sat down to do this podcast with you. And now I appreciate it all the more.
Good. I'm glad to have educated you, Hyle. What's your favorite?
Another one that I shot my wad early.
Shot your wad. I knew there was a phrase. Shot your wad.
Yeah. Shot your wad, right. Which refers to ejaculation primarily, yeah. But Coco Channel off of Donkey Kong Land 3. I used this for the preview image on social
yes,
media.
you did. I saw that on Twitter, yes. It's such a great one, isn't it?
Okay, so if you don't know who Coco Chanel is, and if you don't know who Coco the Clownfish in Donkey Kong games are, this is garbage. This is a garbage name.
You don't know that a channel is a kind of like offshoot of a river.
Right. Then this is a garbage name.
There's so many things that you have to know in advance.
That's what I love the most. I love when there are like at least 3 meanings wrapped up into a joke.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'd put that as my favorite as well if you hadn't already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, individually nothing's that funny, but put together, it's just it becomes a cacophony.
Yes, so stupid.
A tapestry of idiocy. And the fact that it is probably the most erudite reference in a Donkey Kong game. In most Nintendo games, it's up there.
More so than Bleak's House.
Yeah, probably, because more people would have read Dickens than know Coco Chanel. Yeah, so...
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it? It's so funny and so stupid. And yeah, you have to know so many things in advance before you even can begin. I think I remember playing Donkey Kong Land 3 and seeing that level title and just not thinking anything of it. I don't think I got the joke until a couple of years ago. And this is something that is true of a lot of these level names, isn't it? You don't get them until years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for you, DK Island Swing, you didn't know that until I said so. But there's some for me, I think. Coco Chanel's definitely one of them. I don't know. I think I wrote down some ones that I worked out years later. Let's see. No. That's it. Coco Chanel and DK Island Swing is all I've written down. But, yeah.
Really quick, some honorable mentions that I have to get in.
Go on.
Another one from Donkey Kong Land 3, Miller Instinct.
Miller Instinct. Excellent. Because Killer Instinct is a phrase, isn't it? Without it is divorced from the game series. But yeah, it's a nice little nod.
But the fact that it's a rare game referencing another rare game, which is the habit, but still that, it's also bluntly stupid. Like what does Miller Instinct mean? Killer Instinct has a meaning. It means you've got the killer instinct, you've got the edge, you're whatever, you're a born hunter. But Miller Instinct, you know your way around.
Yeah, if you think about it, if you break it down to what it actually means, what is a Miller Instinct?
Yeah, you're a born Miller, like. Let me tell you, Sonny, I've got the Miller Instinct. Yep. But it's great. I mean, Donkey Kong Land 3 is just... I recommend anybody who hasn't played it should at least play it for the map screens alone.
For the level names.
Yeah. Also, Itty Bitty Biters in Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Itty Bitty Biters.
Okay. It's the level with the little blue things that bite, that they're... what are they called? Something like berries or... Yeah. But itty bitty biters. They're not called itty bitty biters, but the level name itself is just it kind of utilizes your rhyming scheme.
It rhymes and it
assinates.
Alliterates bitty biters. Yeah.
It alliterates, assinates, and rhymes. Yes. So it's one of those that just works on 3 levels, and I think that's worth applauding.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You can edit in some audio of some clapping after I send you your audio.
I'll do that. I'll do that. So just checking in with the live stream. Andre's screaming at me.
Oh yeah.
Itty bitty biter isn't the enemy name.
That's a good point, is it not? I think it should be. I think in DK Vine's canon it should be called Itty Bitty Biters.
No, they are toothberries. Toothberries. Yeah.
Toothberries.
And cage berries are also.
There's people in the UK that pronounce the word tooth. So toothberries.
Toothberries.
Toothberries. Not me. Of course not me, but some people. Toothberries.
Yeah, Andre is freaking out almost as much as I freaked out over DK Island Swing and Oil Drum Alley earlier. Special Agent Ape in the live stream. By the way, Special Agent Ape just made a colorized version of Donkey Kong Land 2.
Yes, have you seen this?
Yes, have you seen this?
Have you seen this, Hyle? Have you seen it? It's amazing, Hyle. Yeah. It's
Donkey Kong Land 2. It's in color, and I hear there may even be a Kiddy Kong mode.
New Kiddy Kong mode, yes. So
right.
I don't know what that entails other than an extra hit point. I hope I think it's going to be... what he's done is he's used the Donkey Kong Land 3 sprites from Donkey Kong Land 3 and applied them to Donkey Kong Land 2. But yeah, it looks unbelievably great. And another thing that he's done is added a follow Kong thing where you can, in the Donkey Kong Country games, he's speaking, you'd have 2 Kongs following each other, but obviously in the Donkey Kong Land games, it was considered too much of a resource hogger to do so. But
you're right. So they teleport in.
Yeah. And you've, I believe, got some good continuity explanations for why that is. But
yes, I do. But you're not gonna let me talk about that for 20 minutes. So
no, okay. But in this version, you can play as with Dixie or Diddy following each other, as presumably was the intention. And it looks lovely. And I don't know when it's going to be dropped, as they say, but.
Oh, I think it's been dropped. I think it's
extra hit. Oh my god, extra hit point, but you miss him enough to want to do it.
And also, Gibbon has pointed out that Red Dwarf did air on PBS in the States in the 80s and 90s with Doctor Who, but didn't have the same cultural resonance that Doctor Who did.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm glad to have heard that correction. Any other corrections from the live chat that we should tackle now? Come on. Anyone? No? Okay.
All right. Well, so we've been talking about the English names. And
yes.
Obviously, I cannot go through every single level and give you their localized names in every language they've been localized in. The English names would have been the ones that both Rare and Retro devised, just as Japanese names in Mario games, are the names that the developers intended. And we get some localized bastardization that we know it as. But I think it's fascinating to think what fans in, with other primary languages in other territories, in other countries, other continents, what they think of these level names that they get. And I've looked through some of them, and some of them I think are great. Some of them I think might even be better than ours.
I'm interested.
So, yeah. So, like, for example, Jungle Hijinks. We noticed Jungle Hijinks, and it's also, I believe, roughly translated to Jungle Hijinks in Spanish. But in German, its meaning is Jungle Fever. And Jungle Fever, of course, means something entirely different. It was also the name of an arcade Donkey Kong game based off of Jungle Beat in Japan in the mid-aughts. In Italian, it means spree in the jungle. Spree in the jungle is the rough translation from Italian for Jungle Hijinks, which spree in the jungle, like crime spree in the jungle, like the Kremlins have done a crime spree with Donkey Kong's bananas, or Donkey and Diddy are having a spree.
Well, killing, shopping, and crime.
Yeah.
They're the main types of spree, aren't they?
They're the main sprees, right?
Any other sprees that you can do? Killing, shopping, crime.
I've never really thought
Those
about
are the only sprees, I think.
I mean, I think we should introduce some new ones.
A new spree, yes. What do you think?
Yeah.
Maybe karate? A karate spree.
Karate spree, yeah. Oh, I saw it all, officer. They went on a regular karate spree.
Yeah,
right down Main Street. Yeah.
I'm not
in
good
Portuguese.
At improvisation.
No, you're great, Matt. Karate spree. That was exactly what we needed. In Portuguese, it's roughly translated to Wild Way, which seems completely disconnected from Jungle Hijinks, but I sort of love Wild Way.
I do like Wild Way, and it alliterates.
Yeah. Well, it alliterates. It kind of gives you the sense of, in the same sense that Donkey Kong Country is the countryside that you find Donkey Kong in. So to Wild Way is, this way to the wildlife. This is.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's kind of evocative, isn't it?
It's a nice entry point into the game and the series. Yes. So I'm just going to hit you up with some localization trivia, Matt. Did you know?
Oh, hold on. Did you say that loud enough?
Oh, sorry. Did you know that in Japanese, minecart carnage is roughly translated to minecart coaster? Which is interesting because, of course, we are getting a minecart coaster. Don't know what it's... I think it's called Minecart Madness or Carnage or something. In Universal Parks in Japan and the US. For the
so presumably in Japan it's called Minecart Coaster.
Might be called Minecart Coaster based on the localization, yeah. And maybe that's where the germ of the idea became a full-on virus.
Yeah, before Donkey Kong Country 2 solidified the idea that it was actually just a roller coaster type of level. Yeah, no, that's great stuff.
I love that. But also, Minecart Madness was then called Minecart Coaster number 2. Which
I don't like that so much.
So great.
That's very Super Mario World, isn't it?
It very, very much is, yes. So... at least we know what they're going to call the second Donkey Kong roller coaster in Japan.
But it'll be localized as Madness.
In French, Minecart Madness is Madness of the Minecart.
Le Madness of the Minecart. That's my French accent.
Right. But it's very French, very existential.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. What other accents do you want me to do?
You know what? I think anything else would probably border on the offensive.
Yes.
So we'll just keep it to French.
Yeah,
we'll just keep it to French.
If it's a bad French, yes. Okay.
Because they still owe us from the Donkey Kong Country cartoon.
They do. They do owe us deeply.
We still have to get a few licks in to fully make up for that.
I do look forward enormously to the Kongversation episode about the Donkey Kong Country cartoon. That will inevitably happen in 2023.
Oh, why are you promising it a year out? Like, at least promise it.
2037.
All right, so Madness of the Minecart was what it was called in the Super Nintendo version, but then, because they're not consistent when it comes to localization across every remake...
Yeah, this would annoy me so much.
I would hate this so much, Matt. So in the Game Boy Color version of Donkey Kong Country, in French, it's translated to Sick Mine. Sick Mine.
I'm not having any of that. That is disgusting.
No.
That they've changed it.
Sick Mine.
I presume perhaps because of the character limitations.
Perhaps. They couldn't fit in. Yeah, but Sick
Madness
Mine. All right.
The minecart didn't fit. So Sick Mine. But still, it would annoy me so much as a French person. If there are any French people listening to this podcast, I'd like to apologise most sincerely.
Apologize for Rare and Nintendo's localization teams, yes. Did you know, Matt,
Louder,
that in Italian, Pirate Panic is simply called boarding?
Boarding.
As in, we are boarding the ship. Boarding.
Well, that's what gangplank means, doesn't it? It just means a boarding plank.
Yeah.
So
but
gangplank
just
galleon
boarding.
means a galleon that is boarding.
Yeah. So they took the meaning and they bluntly gave the most literal translation without any alliterative nonsense. It's just boarding. Now, granted, in its natural Italian, I'm sure it sounds much grander. This is just the English translation of the Italian, but
well, there's a couple of levels in the Donkey Kong Country trilogy that break with the tradition. I'm thinking immediately of Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Game Boy Advance, which has a level called Surf's Up.
Surf's Up, yeah, which is terrible. It's a terrible name.
So everyone's like, it's nice to break with tradition sometimes, just for effect. But that's interesting, isn't it, for the first level? Yeah,
in the very same world, they had Sunken Spruce, which I love as a name.
Is fantastic,
Sunken Spruce, because it's very evocative. You know exactly what you're getting, and it's a combination of words you don't ordinarily have.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
So
Sunken Spruce. Yeah.
Sunken Spruce. Did you know, Matt, that in French,
louder, please.
In French, Bramble Scramble is named Beautiful Mess.
Do the voice.
Beautiful mess.
That's better.
Yeah. I instinctively was holding an invisible cigarette in my hand trying to do that because I didn't know how.
You sounded a little bit like Jolly from off of Jolly Rancher.
That's exactly what I was going for, naturally.
Ew.
Did you know, Matt, that in Italian, Screech's sprint is sprint between feathers?
That sounds a lot more dramatic, doesn't it?
It definitely does, yes. Considering you're not doing any sprinting, because then sprinting seems to imply leg movement in my mind. And
as far as I know, birds don't really do that. Yeah,
it's just a lot of flapping. But yeah, sprint between feathers.
Sprint between feathers. Yeah, that's
very dramatic. Yeah.
Well, it emphasizes the dual element of that level, I suppose. Sprint between feathers, a competition between two birds.
Yeah,
I can see the poetry of that.
They could have just called it a competition between two birds. But
yes, they didn't have the characters, so sprint between feathers. They
sprint between feathers. Yeah.
And then, Matt, between two birds. Know? Sorry, louder.
And then, Matt, did you know?
Louder.
Did you know?
That's better, thank you.
That in Japanese, Squirt's Showdown is Torrent Monster Boss Squirt.
I'm laughing because I saw this in advance. Torrent Monster Boss Squirt.
I don't know if you know this, Matt, but Torrent Monster Boss Squirt is also the name of one of my sex tapes.
Yeah, I did know that, and I'll thank you not to bring it up again in this podcast.
Why do you think everybody's coming up to me in a haberdashery in the sweet shop? I'm a legend around these
Mate,
parts.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know about that. Your Torrent Monster Boss Squirt is a disgrace.
I mean, let's be honest, Squirt is a disgrace.
Squirt is a disgrace.
Yeah. All right, we've got a call to take, and then a Patreon sent in a message that we'll have to read. So let's go ahead and play the call. By the way, I think somebody was calling in the middle of us recording because the DK Vine hotline sprung to life.
Yeah, the phone's been ringing off the hook.
Yeah, so unfortunately, if you did call in, we did not get to take your call.
We can't take them live, listeners, so I'm sorry about that.
I'm not going to answer the phone in the middle of the conversation. That would be weird. That would be upsetting.
I think it would be funny to put someone on the spot like that, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe like during our not E3, if we do episodes every night and somebody calls in, maybe I'll get really saucy with it and put them on speakerphone and see how it goes. But let's go ahead and play this call and hear what they have to say.
Let's do it.
Good morning, my little butt munches. Angry Ancestor here for my annual Kongversation call. I'm ironically very excited to hear you guys talk about this topic. It's something that I think about all the time. Maybe not for the reasons you think. The level names in Donkey Kong games are butt cheeks. Horrible. If it was me in charge, the level names would be way more memorable. Now my question to you is, if you could change the name of the level Smoky Peak from Donkey Kong Country Returns, what would you call it? Because it's a really good level, and it's a really bad name. It makes me real mad. Okay? Why don't you do me a favor and fix that up, okay? Thanks.
Well, Angry Ancestor, I'm not sure if I like your attitude.
Smoky Peak, let's think. We can
Smoky
workshop
Peak
this, can't we?
Well, so, for those of you who don't know, because I realize Smoky Peak doesn't really invoke what the level is. Smoky Peak, you would think it's the factory stage where you're covered in fog and you're just silhouetted. It's a silhouette stage, but it's not that one. It takes place in the volcano, where you're kind of... there's all the lava and magma and the eruptions behind you, and the Kongs are silhouetted, but it's Smoky Peak. And I agree, Angry Ancestor, despite you calling me and Matt a butt munch, and despite
I think correctly.
Just the general negativity, because I think most Donkey Kong level names are superlative and probably the best contribution to poetry humans have made in the last half century. But Smoky Peak is garbage. I will agree there. Retro whiffed it on that one. Yeah, how about Lava Light Fight?
Lava Light Fight. Like that.
Lava Lamp Camp. Lava Lamp is a registered trademark, though, of the Lava Lamp Corporation, so you might not be able to go with Lava Lamp.
Smoky Pokey?
I think Smoky is the problem, though, because
Smoky Pokey. It's a pun on the Hokey Pokey. Smoky Pokey?
Smoky Pokey. Yeah, but you're just trying to make Smoky work, where I view Smoky as the problem, because Smoky was a dragon in Diddy Kong Racing,
Big
but I'm
Smoke
pretty
Choke.
sure that's not what... Big Smoke Now, Big Smoke Choke would have been great for Foggy Fumes.
Yeah.
Big Smoke Choke.
Yeah, it would actually. Yeah, Foggy Fumes is pretty good anyway, so no need to improve on that.
It is. It's not bad, but Big Smoke Choke... I like that better. I like anything that involves choking.
Yeah, I know you do, but let's keep that offline.
I mean, anybody who's watched Torrent Monster Boss Squirt knows that detail about me.
Yeah.
Thank you for the call, Angry Ancestor.
Thank you very much, Angry Ancestor. I look forward to hearing from you again.
Last week, when we talked about those space aliens, DJ Cat wrote in, and DJ Cat wrote in again. So this is what DJ Cat says. DJ Cat dropping in here with some observations about the level names.
Go on.
Of Blast Core, which I don't know if DJ Cat hasn't gotten the memo that we don't classify Blast Core as DKU, but people are going to fight us on this. So I know this is an episode about Donkey Kong level names, but I thought you would be interested
Donkey
to know
Kong
about
adjacent. I think it's fine.
Donkey Kong adjacent, yeah. No, it's interested to know about some of the level names in Blast Core. I'm sure there is a bit of overlap with some of the teams that worked on the Donkey Kong games. We all know that famous Graham Norgate track from Donkey Kong Land also appeared in Blast Core. But I have to point out some of the level names in Blast Core. I think you will find them very interesting. Simeon Acres. Sleek Streets. Cooter Creek.
Oh,
Matt, do you know what a cooter is?
No. What?
All right. Well,
Cooter Creek.
Cooter Creek. Cooter can mean a couple different things.
All right.
I'll
look it up.
In some areas of, I think, the southeast here in the States, cooter means turtle.
Oh, pooter.
Cooter.
Cooter.
But cooter is also slang for... Well, just look it up, but don't do a Google image search when you look it up. Just look it up. Look it up on
last time
Urban
I
Dictionary.
Google image searched something that you'd recommended, I had to delete all of my internet history, so I don't think I'll take you up on that.
All right. Well, let me go to Urban Dictionary and type in cooter and see what the first thing that comes up. Yeah, the first thing that comes. So just look it up. The actual example given, the little sentence they give is "my cooter itches." So
slang for female genitalia.
Yeah,
may have originated from a plough coulter, which is a blade on a plough that helps to cut furrows neater. Well, that's lovely, isn't it?
It is.
Cooter Creek. Creek.
Creek, yes. Cooter Creek would also be a good evocative name.
Well, that's a lovely thing to think about, isn't it?
Twilight Foundry, Bison Ridge, Beaten Tracks.
Sorry, what?
Tracks?
What tracks?
Beaton track? I don't know. Beaton track.
Beaten track.
You're not that familiar with Blast Core, are you, Matt?
I'm not really. I bought it on the N64 a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, actually, and played it for the first time. And it's very difficult.
It's very difficult. I have never been able to get into it, and I feel like a bad Rare fan.
Like I recognize it as a quality product, but I'm just not the right age for it. I don't think.
I feel like
if
other
I'd had
Rare
it
fans,
back in the day, I would have been a fan.
I feel like other Rare fans look down on me because I'm not a big Blast Core fan.
I feel the same way about GoldenEye, and Perfect Dark, which I don't particularly go in for, but. Each to their own. I like what I like.
I feel like Cameron and Jeff, snicker behind my back because I don't know
those little shits. Yeah.
Gibbons
Hopefully they won't listen to this.
Gibbons Gate. That's a good one. Obsidian Mile.
Oh, is this the live chat suggestions for the what was it? Bleak's Peak, Smoky Peak. Lots of lava. The hot one. It's funny. The hot one is my favourite of the suggested names in the live chat. Listeners at home that don't see the live chat, this is nonsense to you.
Yes, and I'm not even done reading Blast Core names. Baboon Catacomb. That doesn't even work as a...
Baboon Catacomb.
Baboon, yeah, you have to really mangle the language.
In British English, catacomb is pronounced that way. Catacomb.
Okay, so
Baboon, catacomb.
Catacomb. Okay, I'll allow that. Here we say catacomb.
Yeah, I think I do as well because it's spelt like that. But I think
Thank you.
I think it's meant to be pronounced catacomb.
Look, there are lots of Americanizations of the English language that I disagree with, but there are some
British
English ones that
don't make any sense.
Too. I feel like we need to come up with a middle ground. Yeah, we need to meet halfway somewhere in the Mid-Atlantic Ocean and barter.
I'm fine with that.
A new standardized English language.
Is it not worth it for baboon catacomb?
Baboon catacomb. Yeah, that's grown on me. I think you're right.
Baboon catacomb.
So, DJ Cat's point was that there are lots of monkey-related names in Blastcore at the very least. Which
doesn't make any sense, because as far as I know, there aren't any monkeys in it.
Right, but that falls into your primate species mention subcategory of so why? Like, I remember going through Nintendo Power when Blastcore came out because a new Rare game was out, and like, I wonder if any Donkey Kong characters will appear in it. Mm-hmm. And I saw all of these primate names, and I thought, maybe they're gonna, maybe like Diddy Kong's gonna show up somewhere, you know? Be like, I'm Diddy, because this is before he, went.
Yeah, that's the classic Diddy Kong voice.
I'm Diddy. I'm Diddy. But he never did, and so you have all of these weird primate and monkey names in Blastcore that.
Do you think they just had primates on the head?
Oh, I think I think they were. I think maybe some people on the Blastcore team just missed the monkeys. Like
it's hard to wean yourself off monkeys.
It is. I've never been able to do it. Yeah. Clearly.
Baboon catacomb.
Baboon catacomb. Now I want that. Repurposed in a Donkey Kong game.
Baboon catacomb, prospero año y felicidad. It's like Feliz Navidad.
Oh, it's going to be your next charting Christmas single. Yeah.
Baboon catacomb.
Did you see, Matt, that the legend of I Wish I Was the Walrus has continued?
Yeah, I saw a thing on Twitter with someone who'd modified Mario Kart 8 to be Walrus Cove.
Yeah, so somebody made a Walrus Cove mod in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and then somebody modded out the Walrus Cove music and put in I Wish I Was the Walrus.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I get it, but then when you hit lap 3 and it speeds up, that's when it becomes...
Oh, really? Does it speed it up? That's fantastic.
It speeds it up in lap 3.
I haven't watched that long. So... That's amazing. Okay, well, I will look at that. For the listeners at home, there will be a link in the description of this episode. Hyle. What else have we promised? Disclaimer, none of the things we have promised there will be a link to in the description of this episode will actually be provided in the description of this episode. There we go, you covered.
Oh, now I know. Now I don't know what to do. I'm looking at the live stream one last time before we end on the negative note I promised.
Yep.
And Andre is correcting me and saying that ostriches are totally birds who sprint. Don't forget espresso, like the Donkey Kong series steadily did.
Oh. Yeah, but I think the point is that parrots don't generally sprint.
Parrots don't sprint. I said birds erroneously. I painted with a broad brush, and you never want to do that.
No, you're right. You've offered a full and contrite apology, and I think we should all just move on.
I'm always having to apologize. Yeah. The other day, I said on my Banjo-Kazooie stream that Captain Blubber sort of worked as two ways, because it's a hippo who's always crying, but he's also a hippo who has a lot of blubber. And I meant blubber metaphorically. Like, I'm not saying like hippos are the same as whales who have blubber, but I got called out for that, and so I had an issue of correction. Like, I know blubber is something from a whale, not a hippo. I meant metaphorical blubber, like he's chonky.
I think he's blubbing as well because he's crying.
That's what I said. Oh. Yeah. So,
that's www.dkvine.com/Twitch to watch DK Vine Done Slow, Hyle's slow run of Donkey Kong Universe games, which, in my opinion, is the greatest thing you've ever invented.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoy it, because sometimes I feel like I'm doing it for nobody but
myself. You're doing it for me, and in many ways that should be enough, right?
Well, yes. Everything I do it all for you.
dkvine.com/Twitch. Or twitch.com/DKVine.
To paraphrase Brian Adams. So, here we go, man.
Have we run out of Steam?
We're running out of steam, and we're gonna run out of positivity here, because I hate some level names. And generally, I'm okay with mediocre ones. The ones that don't do anything for me.
Well, I like stupid ones like Freezing Fun.
Like, Ropey Rumpus. It's fine. It's just there, though.
What do you think about Barrel Drop Bounce?
Barrel Drop Bounce, I mean, it is what it is. Most of the Donkey Kong Country 3 ones,
they have to hyphenate barrel drops to make it alliterative with bounce.
Yeah.
Barrel Drop Bounce.
I don't know. Like, they're fine. I don't hate any of them, but a lot of them are just there, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them are just there. So, what I hate is when they take a level name and they reuse it for a level that's not the same area, that's not the same level. Jungle Hijinks, as I said, is the only time I make an allowance for this, and that's a begrudging allowance. But this is gonna piss you off, this is gonna piss the listeners off. I'm already pissed off, clearly. I'm seeing red right now.
I hate to end this episode on a negative note, but here we go.
Yeah, no, we have to. As I explained, I have to start ending conversations poorly.
Let's have this out. Go on.
They say never go to bed angry, but I'm going to have to start going to bed angry every night so people stop hounding me for 20-hour conversations. K. Rool Duel.
K. Rool Duel.
It's the famous Captain K. Rool boss fight in the Flying Croc in Donkey Kong Country 2. One of the best boss battles of all time. I think we're all in agreement on that. Absolutely. But it's also the name of the first fight you have with him in Donkey Kong Land 3. Yeah, do you remember that K. Rool duel, Matt?
Yes, and I remember that. I remember it's... So there's two K. Rool fights in that game. One of them is in a cave, and one of them is... Oh, I don't know, maybe in a factory. I can't remember the archetype. But yeah. The one in the...
it's like in a drain pipe or something, but it's
yes,
like...
that's right. It's in a one of the drain pipe levels. Yes, K. Rool Drool. Drool? that would have been... I thought that would have been acceptable, K. Rool Drool. Yeah, no, absolutely so. Absolutely unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
How dare they?
And the fact that you couldn't even remember if it was in a pipe or a factory, it just says how...
It just makes me physically sick.
Yeah, you could... Like, it's taking a classic name, reusing it, not even 2 years later, for something that just doesn't measure up. Failure. You've brought this up, and it also makes me physically sick. In fact, I have been swallowing my vomit ever since you first broached the topic.
Sorry.
Bramble
I'm so sorry.
Scramble. Bramble Scramble is the name of, in my opinion, the best Donkey Kong level in the best Donkey Kong game ever on any platform. But it's also, Matt, it's also the name of a dirty, bland, linear level that uses weird wiggly brambles that I don't really understand in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
And importantly, what music does it use, Hyle? Could you remember, the listeners at home, what music is played in Bramble Scramble in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze?
Enlighten me, Matt.
It's the cliff music, which is a good piece of music. Don't get me wrong. I think it was one of the first tracks that we knew about. It was the music from level 1 of Bright Savannah, and it's a really nice piece of music. But it's not
the one they showed off at E3 2013.
Yeah, so it's one of the first ones that
barrel blasting.
We were exposed to when we first found out that Dave Wise was doing the music. However, what it isn't, crucially, is what's it called?
Sticker Bush Symphony. Yeah. And that's fine, in my opinion, because the level doesn't earn the grandeur of Sticker Bush Symphony. It doesn't.
And in my opinion, that level is a good level, and the fact that it's called that does it down somewhat. It builds it up to be something it's not.
But using Bramble Scramble for something that's so utterly, catastrophically just there, the gall it takes to say, like, oh yeah, I can paint the Mona Lisa just as well. I'll do it freehand. I'll put a blindfold on me. I'm sure it'll come out just fine.
To the listeners of this podcast, there will be a link to that picture in the description.
It's okay. So a better analogy then. It's like forming a band. Like you and your friends decide to form a band. Not you, Matt, because you're a very talented musician. I'm talking about me and some other friends I have, idiot friends. We all decide to form a band, but none of us.
Be your idiot friend.
Okay, but you're very intelligent and you're a great musician, so I'm leaving you out of this analogy, Matt. You're my learned friend.
You're right. I am very intelligent. You're right about that.
So, a bunch of my idiot friends get together. We don't know how to play instruments. We don't know how to write or read music. But we decide, hey, you know what? We see all these people forming rock bands. We can do the same. So we decide, hey, we're gonna form a band, and the only reason we're all friends is that we met in an incontinence support group.
Right.
So
I can't wait to see where this is going.
We get up on stage, Matt.
Yeah.
And it's our first performance. The four of us.
Yeah.
We're up on stage holding these instruments we don't know how to play.
Yeah.
We haven't written any material. We haven't rehearsed. We're just up there.
Yeah.
And then we just start shitting and pissing. I mean everywhere, Matt. It's not just solid stool, because at least that's tangible, self-contained. You can clean that up with one broom sweep and maybe some Lysol.
And you're sure I can't be involved in this friendship group?
No, Matt. I've checked your rectal integrity, Matt, and it's top notch.
Prefer you didn't do it while I was sleeping.
So it's the liquid diarrhea. It's projectile liquid diarrhea. And oh my God, we hosed down the entire crowd. And it's a packed house full of music aficionados. They all bought tickets and attended the show because we named our band the Alan Parsons Project. And in my opinion, that's what Bramble Scramble and Tropical Freeze is tantamount to. Would you agree?
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.